Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now I begin the eye education, like the condensed course of the whole year of eye education, condensed, solidified into just 1 hour. 1 hour at the most of webcam video recording here on the very early morning of that's the 16th January, 16th July 2012, and 16th Monday, the July 16th 2012. So I'm Dr. Navaid Qureshi here. I'm Dr. Navaid Qureshi here for YouTube Worldwide International K. Sorry about this scenario, but it's the way it is, sort of focusing. And straight away we can say Bismillah, in the name of Almighty Allah, God the greatest. Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. You have seen this eye education. This is one thing, and the thing is that then I'm gonna post on YouTube worldwide videos. You can stand all the ocular students of the world, Stanford students, the Harvard students of USA and Oxford has medical school in the UK, and of course there's medical college, the Health University of Sciences. All the are medical students of Karachi, Pakistan, all others. Alright, so this is what it is, that ophthalmology is nothing but ophthalmology is the art and science, is the art and science of the clinical discipline dealing with diagnosis and treatment of human optical aberrations, that is refractive errors, most common, organic diseases, treatment of organic eye disease, optic errors. This is what it is mostly common. So let's say the most common in refractive error optical aberration would be refractive errors. Emmetropia is normal, you can say, vision with human eyes accommodate, seeing at distance at 6 meters and beyond, and at infinity it is perfectly parallel, and from 6 meters is practically parallel to accommodate student clinic. And in order to have the clinical distance, then it can be with a mirror in front of a perfect mirror and with universal alphabet. So then that means to say that they become, you can say, the mirror image like X, or the universal letters, and laterally reversed or vertically inverse, they are read out the same, especially if all the limbs are in pure black in the white background. So the human eyes looking at distance with accommodation being at rest, when the parallel rays flies focus through the cornea and lens within the living eyes, and they focus on the fovea centralis in the center of fovea, which is in the center of macula, it's in the center of posterior pole of the eye, or the retina. Then that condition is normal without any refractive error. It is not any artificial optical aids like sight spectacles or clear contact lenses, and they are known as emmetropes, and this condition is known as emmetropia. But the optical aberration of it, which is not strictly speaking an organic disease, of course, but just an optical aberration, but most important in the sense that it's most common actually, and that is to say when eye looking straight ahead at infinity with parallel rays of light, accommodation being at rest, when they truly focus, refract through, observing the Snell's law of refraction through the cornea and crystalline lens, because in young age it's supposed to be generally crystalline lens, which is clear. It's only in the old age there's cataract formation. So then the rays focus at the foveolar centrum. They do not focus at the foveolar centrus rather, and so then is that the whole condition in general algorithm is known as ametropia, starting with A, or refractive errors, as more descriptive it might be. And you can say that this is how it is. Refractive errors now, those among although very young, hyperopia or hypermetropia is common, in which eyes normally strong, convergent, and the rays focus in front of the foveolar centralis, and that rather beyond the foveolar centralis, the back of the eyeball, and that needs more diverging convex meniscus, more converging meniscus convex lenses in the side spectacles. But as the child grows up, then of course during the adolescence, late adolescence, early adult life, and up to middle age life, myopia takes preponderance, of course, quite a lot, maybe about 80% or so, at least 75%, and there are the negative minus myopes, and they are, let's say, in which the eyes are slightly more convergent than normal, or the normal intrinsic converging part of the human eyeball is plus 60 diopters. That is to say that parallel rays of light, when they focus, and eyes intrinsic normal focal length is only 1/60 and 1/60th of a meter. So that would be very less inverted image. That is how the small, an inch long eyeball can focus the whole imagery from 6 meters or near 33 centimeters to 6 meters to beyond 6 meters infinity. Can you imagine that? And the rays images are formed at the forehead are real inverted, but we see everything erect, upright, because those inverted images, when they go back through the optical via the optical radiation, and they ultimately impinge on and fan out as optical arborization, of the optical radiation, then the downward thing goes up, upward goes down. So that means the inverted image again re-inverted form a perception of erect image at the highest center of visual perception, that is visual cortex at the back of the brain, occipital cortex, and around that is a Broadman area, 17, 18, 19, striate cortex, parastriate cortex, and peristriate cortex. So this is how it is. But in myopia, of course, the rays are focused in front, and they need more diverging lenses. They are even more than plus 6 diopter, and they need, let's say, plus minus meniscus concave lenses in the side spectacles, or at very miniature size in the contact lens, but the main shape, where the macro micro remain the same, and so that the rays are focused behind the increased focal point, and that means to say it has the ultimate endpoint is reached when it's focused on the fovea. So now what can do is, let's say, rub it now. Alright. If you rub early, then they go. If it takes a long time, then they retain. So here about less screen, so that's what it is. Alright. So now we have got is that let's say the eye, the lens, very roughly speaking, of course, and the thing is that the image is the nodal point of the eye. It forms an inverted image. the back of the eye, right? This is one way of this, and it is plus 60 diopter. Alright, now what happens is that what you can say, let me draw the diagram of the eyeball roughly. Cornea, just an inch long, it's a rough diagram. Sclera, optic nerve, a lens here. Okay, now cornea, iris, and this is the choroid. This is the way you should draw. Medical students should know. This is the choroid. This would be the retina. They are very much opposed to each other. Continue and just for clarity, drawing line. So let's see. This is sclera. This is choroid. This is retina. This is cornea, and this is a crystalline lens. But in old age it can, or beyond middle age also, in old age it can become cataract as well. You see, the passing away, just like take a normal raw egg, and it's got shell composed like a lens capsule. Then it sets inside. There is of course vitellin, which is like vitreous jelly in the real eye, but when it is boiled in and becomes denatured, the protein, the soluble crystalline becomes insoluble albumin. So that's why this coagulates and the protein denatures, and you get a half-boiled or full-boiled egg. Similarly, and you get a mature cataract. Sometimes the white half mature calcareous cataract, whatever. So this is it. So this is the vitreous cavity. This is the aqueous humor, and this is the iris ciliary body. Alright, and so what happens is the ray is going straight on, and the focus and the fovea. Alright, this is it. This is the eyeball structure. This is the optic nerve. This is the fovea, like that. You got it? So this is how it is generally and roughly speaking. And now to rub it, and then okay, the refractive errors. Alright, one is myopia, second is hyperopia, third is astigmatism or astigmatism. This is it. Now drawing more elaboration. First take myopia, which is much more common among adolescent female and young adults, so you have to middle age, beyond times. So in which you need minus is this initial sign, and you need to correct meniscus concave lenses which are diverging and the eyes are more converging. So what happens is cornea, roughly rays parallel rays, and this is the length. They focus somewhere here. I'm just giving the concept. So they need what you call side spectrum meniscus concave lens to diverge, and they diverge and increase the focal length right up to the cornea. So this is how it gets corrected. Alright, and then what you call is hyperopia. British call it hypermetropia, Americans can simple hyperopia, in which the eyes, each eyes are more you can say less converging, and they need more converging lens to correct that, like meniscus convex lens. The eyeball may be shorter, while an axial myopia may be longer, though normal length of the eyeball is 24.4 millimeter. Alright, like the object. The lens. So generally the rays focus beyond the fovea, somewhere here. It has to be brought over here. So then what happens? You need converging. You can say converging what you call convex lenses, and that converging convex lenses, they then, when they're brought, they focus here. This is how it is corrected. Now in both hyperopia and myopia, spherical error, spherical type of refractive error, then the cornea is circular, just about perfectly circular, though not always, but like this. Supposing if this is the right cornea, then this is the horizontal meridian. It's actually horizontal curvature, I would say, curved meridian or curvature, and this is the vertical meridian, vertical. And generally let's say both could be 43 diopter, and this is discerned, taken out by instrument known as scaratometry, producing radius of curvature, which is in millimeter, but also that's for hard contact lens fitting, but here diopter comes at the same reciprocal reading. This ultimately routinely required for biometry, which is again for IUL, power estimation. So that also part of routine even on post cataractus patient, alright? But generally this is keratometry. Just need a small writing space here near the webcam actually to adjust on all these things. So what you call as this was it. So we can say, let's say this was about that. Now in astigmatism, the cornea is oval or elliptical, like an oval hen's egg, while the ping pong ball is of course circular. Though I've seen myself the ostrich eggs huge eggs of the ostrich, and I've seen my son delivering at the zoo and at Karachi. Can you imagine that? They're all animal king, loves me, and I'm the king of animal kingdom, king of Karachi. So they, probably the divine heavenly man, the most caring kind of being alive. Today, my category, among males. So, of course, women are wonderful, and children are cherished, and we're all like chariots of fire. So, cornea may be like a vertical oval or like a horizontal oval. This is a rough diagram. It's very slight. Here it is much more to enhance the effect. So you can discern, appreciate it more easily. So this may be the right and left of one patient. This may be right and left of another patient, because both eyes of the same patient have more or less, generally, and much more commonly, the same tendency. So if it is, this is like this, that horizontal meridian is more curved. Let's say it could be plus 48D, and this vertical could be plus 45D, 3 diopter astigmatism. And here the horizontal is more curved, though generally is a vertical that may need to be more curved, so that is why it is astigmatism against the rule, because generally with the rule, like with the lid pressure, this is the right eye, this is the left, and this is the cornea. It tends to pressurize the cornea at 12 and 6 o'clock, so cornea becomes more bent in the vertical meridian rather than horizontal. So that's why here it is like against the rule, but more problematic really. And then this one, and this is horizontal. This is astigmatism with the rule. Astigmatism with the rule, because it follows the vector forces. Just because they're more enhanced will become significant, otherwise just 0.25 cylinder at times, sometimes 0.25 to 0.5 cell, and then plus or minus is considered within physiological limit, and 0.75 at borderline. And then significant astigmatism starts clinical astigmatism, clinical appreciated is from 1 onward, just like hypertension, borderline, and then after borderline mild hypertension, moderate hypertension, severe hypertension, like that somewhat. So this would be here the reverse ratio, plus 48D. This would be plus 43D. So here in the keratometry, it's not this straight on chord length, which is the horizontal curvature of the entire surface of the cornea, and it is more situated on the central 3 millimeter of cornea. Okay, would you believe? That's why I measured by keratometry. And now the automated instruments with K reading, all these things, they of course can do it all automatically with automated direct synchronicity and computer work. They're all the most simple, direct. Just like an instrumentic camera, autofocus does everything. Though, of course, SLR camera, single light reflex, or others are much more, with all the focusing gadgets are much more interesting when you have more manual work to do. Brings more credit to you, to a skillful lens, which I've done myself. I'm an amateur photographer by instinct. Just to take so many pics, and now with digital video with Canon cam, of course, I take pics and clips now for YouTube Worldwide International. This is how it is. Alright. And with this concept came the you can say the great concept of character refractive surgery. Although biometry done to, you can say, delineate which type of what type of IOL lens power to be implanted inside. Alright, so that is one thing that is there. Whether it is like anterior chamber lens used to be performed after the cataract extraction, that was maybe roughly plus 19 diopter. Then of course came the posterior chamber IOL implant, which is initially it was hard, rigid PMMA, polymethyl methacrylated plastic resin material, but it's bio-inert, that's a good thing. And now of course we have so many foldable IOLs really, and now even rollable and they are like so foldable with other materials, firstly of silicon rubber, now of course of acrylic. Can you imagine that acrylic used to be in the synthesized fabrics and all that, now even in Eye-Edu technology, bioenergy and so forth, great results. They can be folded into half and then flip back into full with full memory. So that means that with a minimal incision of fake emulsification that came into existence to incorporate now half or even less than half the width incision, half the width or even less than that of the IOL haptic diameter, because it is folded and then it folded from the flips back. That is why it's foldable with no amount of stitchless size surgery and very early rehabilitation, least amount of stigmatism. So and also the concept that for example, if there's a cornea whether right or left, and this is horizontal meridian, this is vertical, so if want to you can say make this horizontal meridian more convex materially, so what I have to do is wedge resection. You know, resect a bit of cornea and then suture it, becomes more curvy. Or you can if you want to do and becomes more curvy, and similarly if you want to make the vertical meridian more less curvy, so then all you do is, you know, not wedge resection. Resection means sizing and then resuturing tightly. It's just like stigmatic keratotomy. It's just like a stigmatic keratotomy incision. This was slightly keratectomy. Here it is keratotomy incision. It loosens up. But that's the initial observation. But of course they refined it and formed the basis of what you call as keratorefractive surgery. It's like Cold War. It just went again from USSR previously to USA and all over the world. Although the first trial implant was done at, what do you believe, at St. Thomas Hospital that I've even visited, just alongside Thames, River Thames in central London. Now they're going to be holding Great London Olympics 2012. So that was by Mr. Surgeon Dr. Professor Harold Ridley. That was as early, if I'm not wrong, as early as 1949. Would you believe that? Anyway, probably they had some concept of plan that it was during the Second World War, probably, and there was one British pilot, and this crash landed. He survived. A splint of glass went into his eye. Instead of seeing whereas he was seeing much clearly, and that somehow lens was a glass piece or whatever that actually improved his optical outlook and visual outcomes. So that gave the idea, probably, I don't know whether it's officially true or not, but this looks very much interesting, isn't it? You can confirm it. Disclaimer. So I don't claim this event, but it could very well be. I think I read somewhere else, although I'm a disclaimer, but it gives a very useful idea. Of course there must be many official research going on all along USSR, USA at that time, now Russian Republic, and of course in Europe as well, in England and UK and Holland, everywhere. So anyway, so then, but Fyodorov in Moscow developed one thing, like this was cornea, right or left, whatever, and then he had the concept that if the, like especially in a case of myopia that most common among young ones and young adults, so the eyes are much more, you can say, converging. Let's say a person is having minus, ideally let's say minus 4 diopter spherical without any stigmatism. So then he tried to and you can say K reading, and now they have cornea topography mapping as well, that this like more circular, it's just a rough freehand drawing, that the central 3 millimeter of anterior corneal surface needed to be more you can say more flattened, and how without touching the central all important area. For example, so he developed radial keratotomy incisions, radial incisions fold like this, then 5, 6, 7 and 8, about 9 over 90 to 95% thickness, up to, let's say, up to 95% thickness. Would you believe that much not to have actually effect and not to have any regression, or at least, or let's say over 90% with diamond blades, of course, with absolute micro precision depth guard, so it won't go deeper even if I press it on a very flexible elastic. So this, with this, the intraocular pressure within the eye, first the, you can say, peripheral cornea or RAM to become more, you can say, more comparatively flatter than being more convex from outside. So this is ingenious idea, and what it did was, in a side profile, if you will, that you can say that if this is a cornea like this, then all these cut incisions, you know, this cornea, the IOP, intraocular fluid within the anterior chamber of the eye, that pushed it from inside out, outward, so that the final position from this became this, and the central cornea became more flatter. Central cornea became flatter, and this, you can say, reduced excessive convergence and improved myopia, and minus, you can say, meniscus concave lenses were later on discarded because they were no more needed. That's why no specs. But naturally, as a part of Parsons rule, it's not always so true that practically, like every day is not Sunday. Practically, it's theory and practicals. Yes, you, on the basis of theoretical theory, you make pillars and principles of the pillars of Islam or religion, or you can say pivotal stones or principles of practice. You build on comprehension and philosophy and all those things, like Doctor of Philosophy. But when you apply, then of course the clinical results are different. They may be part and parcel parallel more often or not, but still there are deviations and variations. So then, of course, but then produces scars and relapse and all these things, and made the cornea weaker, further trauma. Then they produced laser eye surgery. And in that, of course, the main thing you can say, eye surgery would be excimer, excited derma. So they produce, just like vigor plus nigra means Viagra, so excimer, excited derma. And like with excited dimer, with probably argon fluoride, ARF, argon fluoride. There are other variations which produce 193 nanometer wavelength of ultraviolet light. Ultraviolet light, alright. So this, what it did was, this actually did the photoablation of the central, 3 to 4 millimeter anterior corneal surface. And first of all, they included, which I also had assisted and seen or observed, at least PRK, photorefractive keratectomy. Alright, and in this, what they did was that is the cornea, and first of all it is, deepithelialized, with of course topical and and then because the new epithelium may come again back, and after that the central this thing was photoablated and taken out. So the cornea, this I'll show in a large way. Photoablation, central corneal curvature vaporized actually, each pulse of laser at 193 nanometer, because it's very superficial, just acts on this corneal epithelium, focus there. For example, I saw, let's say, -1 4 diopter spherical needs, let's say 420 shots within 4 seconds. So fast, all computerized, automated, intrinsic, like that. This is the voice that comes. All they need to do is, patients were mostly young females, generally over 85%. All they have to do is look straight at the blinking violet or purple line and not to move the eye, because the eyes have to have their own visual axis. Without infiltration, it's easier retrobulbar block. Without that, in a natural state, patient compliance is very important here, and not to blink the eyes during the few seconds, but few seconds of paramount important. The eyes, of course, both eyes should be open and there should be no blinking. So, and that would do the work. So this is it. And see the cornea, this pre-ablated cornea, and this is the ablated cornea. This is of course round, this is flat. Can you imagine, like tabletop? It's roughly, and it's so fine that if you put the drop you don't see anything, but if you don't put the drop, then you see it's kind of dry, and then you put the drop. So within a couple of days the epithelium comes down, and then you have lubricants, antibiotics, and steroids and all that to reduce keratitis, UV keratitis, inflammation, all that. Now latest is another variation, of course there are so many, LASIK and whatever, but LASIK basically, which is same laser and it's very modification, but laser in situ keratomyeliosis, LASIK. Now they have LASIK as well, but anyway, in this basically the main thing is the central cornea not touched, just like in RK, but with the laser wave. For example, this is the cornea. So what it does is that they make with a certain latch, they do the can opener, they make a disc with a flange like that, like just as you open the can opener, can of, that's a piece with a can opener, and put the hinge flap like that. This is the hinge and the flap rolls over it. So then the next picture would be like this is the cornea, this and corneal flap, and in this row area in the center you of course collimate the rays here, like that, and it becomes flattened of course, and then you reoppose this on itself. So that means this goes like this, then it's rolled over after the photo is ablated, for example, like that, flattened, and this, from this it becomes this, and then the flap is rolled over so it sticks on. Here it is done, undone, here it is redone, and there's no epithelialization problem and no irritation and fast eating and no or minimal central corneal opacity. With PRK it was getting more kind of, but still glasses are apparently taken out, but you all want to see whether there's any regression or not, and 1, 2 to 3 to 5 years analysis see how it is, or even tell you. That's all. So sorry about that. And just to tell you that there's so many things actually. I'm not going to go into anything, but let's say basics of ophthalmology, if it is like this here. So then it's basics of ophthalmology, then anatomy and physiology. You can write in the rabbit. 3 is ophthalmic pathology. I was preparing my special site as well as YouTube for just there, and pharmacology. And then 4 is applied optics. 5 is refractive errors. The main paramount importance, of course, is refraction, how you do it. Like that. Having written this, of course, well, 6 whatever. Seven would be orthoptics and squints cases. There, clinical evaluation, initial evaluation, management, conservative management, then of surgical management need be 8. Of course, we can say, and then of course, after all this, the actual organic physical structures to be seen, like orbit also, like in Graves' disease, exophthalmos versus proptosis. So thalamus is bilateral bulging prominence of the eye. Proptosis is actually natural protrusion of the eyeball from some pushing from behind. Proptosis. Then 9, of course, lacrimals or lacrimal system, and with secretory lacrimal gland, and you can see collecting and draining lacrimal sac on right and left. So there is also feeder known DAC rheology. DAC rheology, and of course the 10th is lids. These lids, of course, eyelids. These also ocular necks as well, along with the lash head and various positional and organic defect. This is 10th. 11th would be, well, you can just carry on in a sequential way. Would be conjunctiva, to lids. 12, episclera, and deeper sclera, which is the whiteness of the eye. Conjunctiva is a pinkish moist tinge to the eyeball, which actually conjoins inner side of the lids, upper lower, to the facial bulbi ocular eyeball cells. That's why conjoining 10 membrane, that's why known as what you call conjunctiva. And let's say 13th would be of course cornea, most important overall, talking about the ocular watch glass window. Apart from its terrific paramount importance in optics, applied optics and character refractive surgery, it is, and also its refractive properties and refractive properties, reflective, and you can say gives you a reading for keratometry, and and also spectral microscopy, the endothelial cell count, but refractive, of course, at plus 43 diopter. It is thinner than the crystalline lens, but more powerful because its So refractive index differential is too much from 1 of air first refractive interface and to the, let's say, plus 1.367. So that's why it bends here is more, and only plus 17 diopter for the length, which is maybe 1.37 or 6, but aqua is 1.33, so that's why in front of it. So cornea, and 14th would be the anterior chamber, and aqueous. Then there's 14th and spaceless, so 15th would be an anterior chamber depth as well as angle all around 360. Just remember, then 15th would be iris, and 16th would be anterior part, bit of ciliary body, if you will, anterior part of the uveal tract, uvea. 16th pupil both sides, and both their physical aspects as well as neurological. The mood condition normal, dilate pupils, mydriasis, and constricted pupils, meiosis, and its aftermath. But make sure there's no pharmacology dilated with or atropinate, dilated with cyclopentolate or tropicamide. So pupil, and 17th is of course the all important lens, natural lens, which when normally cleared is known as crystalline, otherwise cataractus, cataract. This is generally, although not necessarily, so it's in congenital juvenile, but mostly it is in old age related senile cataract. Okay, so 17th. And 18th would be what? Behind that is vitreous or vitreoretinal, whatever. So that's vitreous, vitreoretinal surgery. But let's say if we take this vitreous, and then 19th would be retina. But if we combine with this vitreoretina, then it's better in the sense that retina surgery is one aspect of ophthalmic surgery, so we are going to take macula as well. And optic nerve, so 19th would be optic nerve, 20th macula, which is more specialized by retina anyway. Peripheral retina will go with vitreoretina, macula with central retina. It's fovea, and it's the ultimate fovea centralis or foveola. Sharp is acute point of distinct vision, which is absolutely by cones, very thin, long, slender, compact cones, which are also color sensitive, with porphyropsin for red color, synopsin blue color, and green for iodopsin. And the color blind is quite significant, and females are the carriers, males are the sufferers, because the X-linked recessive. So male patients, persons do not have the normal supportive X chromosome, so the defective X chromosome suffers at the end of a very small Y chromosome. So XY makes male, then XX makes females, paternal union, fusion of mitosis and meiosis. So this is how it is, and there are 6 million cones also for distinct vision in the fovea and daylight vision, while the rods are 120 million, very numerous, much more numerous also, but they are more important for visual fields. And central vision when you look straight, and visual field is when you're looking straight, but from periphery of upper, lower, outward, inward quadrants of each eyeball. So that is why both eyeballs, when you drive, just acts like binocular, just your PD, and you can see with 3D stereopsis, 3-dimensional. last situation 20, and then 21 would be, let's say, of course, the visual pathways. Or you might say, yeah, neuro-ophthalmology which again may encompass like ophthalmology, pupillary light reflex, sometimes, and combined near synkinesis, as well as relative eye front pupillary defect, most commonly pupil light reflex. Then you put the light in one pupil. Even a comatose patient, a conscious patient, it's very common clinical test, also a first aid diagnosis. So if the patient conscious or not, so we have got is what you call it will be called as what we call it can be called as like light in one eye, ipsilateral light reflex, and the other eye considered the consensual light reflex, and vice versa from the left side, right, plus visual pathways. Then I've also drawn and mentioned diagram and my special site. If you search by Google search engine only exclusively, that is thanks to global Google, they have given me a global name I suggested as they asked my advice. So that is sites.google.com/site/magnificent-man-NAVAID. M and N can be capital if you don't remember, lowercase, and NAVAID spelling NAVAID. And also via, this is for YouTube, of course, www.youtube.com/user/Mr. Nevada 1. Here M and N first letters, the last word capital if you don't remember, lowercase, and Nevada would spell out as state of Nevada, NAVADA. So this 21, and then and 22 others like lasers in ophthalmology, and 23 would be even community ophthalmology. Generally we do clinical, but community also surveillance reports and all that in our populous areas, which I've done among 20,000 patients here in North Karachi myself, my team, but I was the only doctor and eye specialist in so much quick time, and I've just about 2.5 years, 20,000, 2 years, couple of years, 20,000 school children from first to metric, and even others, and there we found that the refractive error rate was about that those two needing glasses to correct the refractive errors, near about 17% overall. It's fair enough. And there's 24 the, you might say, updates in ophthalmology. Updates would be, just write to you, the new advanced frontiers of ophthalmology. There's so many, but one like oculoplastic surgery, we have got the keratorefractive surgery, keratorefractive surgery, and we have got phacoemulsification techniques along with foldable and rollable IOLs, intraocular lens. And I would say another one would be foldable eyes and all that. Yeah, even vitreoretinal surgery, vitreoretinal surgical breakthroughs, and submacular surgery. So you name it. So let me just give you a brief concept on, if I can draw the line of this, easier for me, the visual pathways for the epilogue. There are pathways, there's the right eye, there's the left. I'm doing roughly, but the fine one you can see at my side, the lot picks and all that. It's time consuming. Right, left, the right optic nerve, this is the optic chasm, this is the optic tract, it is optic crossover, and this at anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3, the rays come in the pretectal nuclear formation, the midbrain actually, and from here they cross over like this from the pretectal nucleus, and here the Edinger-Westphal nucleus of the parasympathetic complex of the third cranial nerve, oculomotor nerve complex on each side of the median wave line of the CNS. Okay, and here the optic red goes into the lateral geniculate body, which is the posterior elevation of thalamus, and from there the optic radiations go, which I can just describe here. From optic lateral geniculate body, the rays, they just fan out, the lower down, upward and downward, representing lower portion, fanning upward, optic radius. This is very complex, you can see in the diagram the sign, time consuming, but just to give you the idea. And this is the visual cortex. So this is how it is, and all you have to do is remember that the visual field effects have the opposing visual field effects. For example, this would project this way, temporal hemiretina nasally, and nasal hemiretina temporally, like this. Alright, most important here is the chromophore adenoma of cranial neurosurgical importance. Let's say most important is chromophore, male female both, chromophore adenoma. Here the ray, just for an example, crossing over like this, but this representing the nasal hemiretina, but it's projected temporally. So this would give rise to bitemporal hemianopia and American hemianopsia, like this. So this, remember, and it represented like this. Just give you one example, the rest you can see in the books and also in my special site. It will be this blackened would be gone, like that. So this is how it is. Also give you a bit about red eyes. There are so many, but most common is acute epidemic adenoviral conjunctivitis, which is very common as concentration camps, and when there are Pakistan's children floods going on, the rural population, or even congested poor school children classes, let's say 101 or whatever, jump, with poor sense of hygiene naturally. Acute conjunctivitis, acute conjunctivitis. This is in which there is phonosal congestion versus the rest of the others to follow back. So many, but just to give you the big 4-5. Acute conjunctivitis versus acute keratitis, which may or may not be with corneal ulcer also. 3. Acute anterior uveitis, and which again ultimately means acute congestive glaucoma, which is an acute ophthalmic medical emergency. So acute conjunctivitis is of course inflammation of the conjunctiva, acute with a phonacial congestion. The rest of these are having to start with ciliary congestion, which I'll tell you diagrammatic just a bit. Acute keratitis is inflammation, acute inflammation of the corneal epithelium. It is non-ulcerative, like even herpes simplex keratitis, which may become ulcerative, like dendritic ulcer. With the treatment, of course, is you can say cyclovir or Virex ointment 5 times a day for up to 3 weeks. That's it, not less, not more. Not because more it would be cause toxicity. While acute uveitis, there is acute inflammation of the anterior uveitic tract of the iris especially, and also ciliary body, so it is also synonymous to the acute iridocyclitis, or most commonly called as acute anterior uveitis, differential posterior uveitis, which of choroiditis and panuveitis, of course, all aspects of uveitic tract, anterior, middle, posterior, are involved. In middle means pars plana, so all are involved, and sometimes both eyes, can you imagine that? And acute stiff glaucoma, which is the acute rise of IOP, intraocular pressure of the eyeball. So just to finally delineate, this was it. So example, drawing the diagram of the right eye. All the eyelashes. This is a right eye. This is the eyebrow, and this is the right upper lid, right lower lid, the sclera. This is the cornea. This is the pupil. These are the lashes, of course, or cilia. Now, what happens is, this is the eye. Now, what happens is that, for example, in acute uveitis, if we invert the upper lid, for example, then here there's a lot of congestion here. I don't have the red marker, though I got drawn red. So this is known as phonacial congestion, cornea, clear, pupil, clear, everything. And all it needs is acute epidemic keratitis. Then under antibiotic cover, you need topical steroids like dexamethasone, prednisolone, or even fortified fluorometholone, so that it does not cause superficial punctate keratitis. That's one. But make sure that there's no corneal ulcer, because then steroids are contraindicated. And if it is acute iridocyclitis, acute uveitis, it's easy for me this position. Then in this, the cornea would be myotic, pinpoint, and there is circumcorneal congestion. It also needs definitely steroids, topical steroids, along with topical dilators of the pupil, so that there is no block of pupil, no occlusive seclusive papillae. And similarly, finally, and if it is acute congestive glaucoma, which one should avoid, of course. Let's diagnose the treatment different dilemma. Clinical syndrome, both chronic simple in white eye, it's not that simple, of course, or in acute emergency, acute congestive, acute ophthalmic medical emergency, in which the pupil is mid-dilated and fixed on the whole eye, starting from circumciliary is mid-dilated and fixed, and eyeball is hard with pressure instead of normal up to 20. It has from 20, it may be raised even to 40 or even more meters of mercury with application tonometry, IOP intraocular pressure. So here the treatment is of course to reduce IOP drastically. First of all, IV 20% mannitol 1 drop per second at the rate of and 200 milliliters, and that would reduce the IOP by causing vitreous shrinkage. And there are all other things to follow. So so I have to upload the webcam, hoping the electricity remains so and the modem runs so. So thank you folks, thanks you folks for seeing this. I'm making a whole condensed portion of ophthalmology. So this is all it is. So you can on Google search, you can also see it, Google search engine, what you can say, sites.google.com/user/magnificent man NAVAID. That is one, and log on it, see, enjoy, and choose your own search engine according to your own choices. A variety of diversity of education, other education, and the rest of entertainment, civil education and entertainment. And this of course site is via any search engine. That is of course which I am uploading here fully, inshallah. www.youtube.com/user/Mr. all in continuous, but M capital, then Nevada, like state of Nevada, Nevada 1. Just log on it. Alright, thanks. Royal regards from Dr. NAVAID and Q, the cat man and the spider. Okay, so this is the time in the early morning, as you can see. This is the time in the early morning that you can see. And au revoir, bye, and thank you so much. Stay away, and all the best of luck to you, and we all become one in heaven. I really pray that it really helps you, and log on it, and that Google AdSense also puts me in the top quality line, and they also add me in Google AdSense, also YouTube, because the best boy in the good standing of the community guidelines, as well as, you know, a very nice person and a spiritual man. This is me, the one and only.